Hi, Lady Loves and Low Riders. It's me. I'm back with part 2 of my video about homosexuality and heterosexuality. I am breaking my video up into 3 parts because I don't want to go beyond 15 minutes. I have verified my channel, but it doesn't seem to allow me to make videos longer than 15 minutes, and I'm tired of trying. I'll work that out later on. But anyway, so the first part of the video, we talked about homosexuality and heterosexuality. We talked about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and physiological needs being the greatest part, the greatest section of the needs in man. We also talked about God's desire and command for us to be fruitful and multiply, which is in Genesis 1:28 and in Genesis 9:7 in the King James Version. And as I said, God blessed them and said to them, "You be ye fruitful and multiply, and bring forth in abundance in the earth, and multiply therein." So I'm not judging, but I am here to say that only a heterosexual relationship can produce or bring forth an offspring, which is what God gave us sex for. It really is. When my daughter was born, I nursed her for 18 months until I couldn't nurse her anymore because I had to get an antibiotic, and they didn't allow me to do both together. However, my friends they wanted to talk me out of nursing my baby because they said if you nurse your daughter, it's going to flatten your, breasts. So I had to decide, okay, this is what they're for. I may as well go ahead and, God gave me these breasts not to show off, not to flash to men, or stand in the mirror and look at. He gave me these breasts to nurse my children. So I nursed her for 18 months, like I said, as long as I could. And then that was, I made the decision to utilize my body for the reason why God gave me these parts. So I said all that to say that I'm not here to judge anyone. And I have homosexual friends. I have same-sex friends that are actually married and have been for a while. When my daughter was in ballet, the proprietors of the ballet school that she went to ballet from 4 years old to 17. And the proprietors of the ballet school were gay. They were in a same-sex relationship. And I want to tell you something. No two greater men could have been found. They were wonderful. I loved them both dearly, Michael and Tommy. And everyone that was in contact with them loved them dearly. I even told them, I went as far one time as to tell them, because I didn't have any relatives, where I live. And this was about 20 some odd years ago. But I told them, if anything happened to me, I wanted the two of them to raise my daughter. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't have relatives that I trusted and loved, but I did trust and love these two gentlemen. And I truly saw that the love that they had for my daughter, and it was my intention to make sure she got that love, and I trusted them to give it to her. So in no way am I homophobic. I think that people who are homophobic and go after same-sex people or same-sex individuals should be jailed, should be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law. It is wrong. It is none of your business what they're doing. And why are you so angry? A lot of times when you have people that are homophobic, they are homophobic because they're fighting feelings deep down inside themselves. Maybe they're judging because they too have some of those down low feelings, and they are fighting it. So they are angry at you because you're not fighting it as much as they are. You fight because the flesh and the spirit fight each other. They battle each other, and it's in Galatians, in the New Testament of the King James Version. And it says that the flesh fights against the spirit, and the spirit fights against the flesh, and they are in opposition to each other. And the reason for that is so that you will not do whatever you want to do. In other words, the spirit, which is what you should do, which is what God put in you, and the God that lives keeps in you, that is your conscience, and you could say it's your conscience. So the spirit, which is what you should do, battles against the flesh, which is that hierarchy of needs that I spoke about. You can't just let your feelings make your decisions for you, especially when it comes to finding a mate and fulfilling God's purpose for us being mated in the first place. To have companionship, yes, but as I showed you on that hierarchy, that is not the greatest need. The greatest need is eating, sleeping. You need rest. You need nourishment. You need to get rid of body's waste. You also have that urge that we're speaking about right now, and that's the sexual urge. The reason why it feels so good, as I said before, is because if it didn't feel that good, would you really, really obey God and procreate the way that, I mean, we've got populations that are out of control. Do you think man would go to the extent of fighting for these, fighting for the freedom to do what they want to do intimately if it wasn't for the feeling? God put those feelings in us because he wanted married people to procreate. Now, speaking of marriage, I just want to interject that if you are in a same-sex relationship and you are legally married, now that some of the states are accepting it, and the federal, the Supreme Court deemed it legal, I know, I don't believe, I know that you should have the same constitutional rights as any other couple. And I say that because, as I said, I know many gay people, and I have friends that were in a same-sex relationship, 2 women, and when one died, they bought a home, they had a few cars, they had some property, and when one of the partners died, the family of the remaining partner attacked the one that was still living, blamed them for their loved one even being gay in the first place, and they used that homophobia as an excuse to go after the property that same-sex couple accrued in their 20 years together. That is wrong. It should not be allowed. Homophobia is wrong. And it's definitely not an excuse to come along and steal what a same-sex couple got together and accomplished in their lives together. So if you're married and you've gone down that path, that's between you and God. But constitutionally speaking, you deserve the same exact rights federally than any other married couple. Your rights and your property should be protected. You should be able to get insurance. You should be able to be allowed to enter a hospital room when your partner is sick. Families cannot keep you out because of their homophobia. So all these things come into play when you realize just how important your constitutional rights are. I realize how important they are. I've seen it happen to couples. So I said all that to say, any of you that are going to try to make it look like I'm homophobic, you're wasting your time, because I'm the last person. Like I said, and I can't judge even if I were homophobic. I can't judge. None of us can. We have all misused God's gift of sex on this earth. Okay? We've all misused it. Heterosexuals, homosexuals, it doesn't matter. We've all done it. So we really can't judge. I just want to give you food for thought. Excuse me. Okay, so as I said, animals have the same urges. However, they may not have the self-actualization. They may, in fighting for or vying for position in the herd, okay, or in the group of animals, that may be some self-actualization in animals. And it may just be to move your competition out of the way so that you can procreate with that female. But I must admit, these are all male and female bonds. Okay? So no judgment, just food for thought. Now, we worry about who was a tomboy when they were kids. I was a tomboy when I was a kid. I climbed trees. I hung from my legs. I dressed like a little boy, raggedy sometimes, and didn't want to comb my hair, and didn't care if my feet were dirty and things like that. I think we all have a little tomboyishness in us. And for a little boy to want to wear makeup or wear his mom's heels, these are all the reasons that we use when we say, well, he's always been like that. He's always had those urges. Those are just things that we grow out of. But in the long run, I know that I am supposed to be with a male. I'm not judging anyone who isn't, but I want to be with a male. So we can't use those reasons as reasons to go after same-sex relationships. I just wanted to say that, we've all kind of gone down that road before. Now, for those of you who are unfortunately victims of molestation, and I'm not going to talk about that too deeply because it's a very, very, very tricky and touchy subject. And how dare I even sound like I'm trying to diminish anything that happens in a molestation of a child from an adult or anyone. I do understand that a lot of people in that community, in the gay community, have said that they were molested as children. We all know the famous individuals who claim that this happened, and I'm sure, I know for one individual, I know for a fact that he's telling the truth, that he was molested, and I happen to know the person who did it. A very famous person, but I won't go on to say who it is. I just want to know, though, from those of you that have undergone that devastation in your life, I would like someone to explain to me why that's your reason for being in a gay lifestyle or in a same-sex lifestyle. If that devastated you and menaces you all through your life, why would you want to embrace that? Why would you fight for the rights to be that? If that's what threw you out there on that path of devastation, why would you then? If it were me and I were molested by a same-sex person, there's no way in the world. I probably wouldn't even let a woman hug me. More or less want to embrace being with a woman and loving that lifestyle, fighting for that lifestyle, dealing with discrimination for that lifestyle. I don't understand how that lifestyle could attract you if that's what devastated your life. So I am not making a judgment. I'm just asking a question. You can leave comments down in the bottom of the of this video, because I really don't understand, and I really would like someone to explain that to me. I'm not going to be long with this video. As I said, I'm going to break it down to about 3 or 4 parts. And I'll upload them later because it's going to take a little while. And right now I'm at the 13th minute. So I have about 1.5 minutes before I'm not allowed to upload this video properly. But like I said, you can leave down an answer down on the bottom. Please don't swear at me. Please don't be angry at me. I'm not trying to be funny. I just don't understand why, if that was what devastated you and threw you out there on this path, because being in a same-sex relationship, it's not easy, and it takes courage. But why? I just don't understand why you would go through all that for something that you hated in your life, and to embrace it and to live it yourself. So leave your comments in the bottom. This is only part 2. I'm going to come back with part 3 in a moment. And again, like I said, we're just talking about heterosexuality today and the same-sex lifestyle. Okay? So Lady Lhhh here. And remember, he lives and I do love you. So I'm going to do part 3 in a moment. All right? See you then.